Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Mastry.
And I'm Erin Sullivan. Let's get right into our top 6 headlines at 6.
Governor Pillen, joined virtually by Dr. Oz, announced Nebraska will become the first state to roll out work requirements for Medicaid. Under the new rules, Medicaid expansion recipients must work or go to school for at least 80 hours per week. Those rules will take effect next May.
The remains of 2 Iowa National Guardsmen killed in Syria returned to the U.S. today. President Trump was in attendance for the ceremony in Delaware.
President Trump is expected to sign an executive order tomorrow reclassifying marijuana from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 controlled substance. This would not make it legal, but it would ease regulatory hurdles, allowing the FDA to study cannabis for medical use.
Nebraska State Senator Dan McKeon pleading not guilty in a groping investigation. McKeon was charged with disturbing the peace last week. The not guilty plea is a major reversal from what was expected. McKeon's attorney said last week the legislator would likely plead no contest to that charge.
4 Republican lawmakers today breaking with Speaker Mike Johnson to force a vote on extending ACA subsidies. Those 4 representatives joined with Democrats using what's known as a discharge petition to circumvent leadership. That vote is not expected until early January.
President Trump set to address the nation in prime time tonight. Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt says Trump will speak about his accomplishments this year and lay out his agenda for next year. You can watch the address at 8 o'clock right here on First Alert 6.
Be careful with those